A group of Republican lawmakers and a coalition of 5 environmental groups somehow finding common ground and criticizing the White House all over controversial offshore wind farms. Both parties expressing concern over the Biden administration's latest actions to expand offshore wind development, citing the deaths of at least 32 whales washing up along the East Coast in the past few months. 4 Republican congressmen have sent a letter to the Government Accountability Office requesting a study on the impacts of offshore wind development within that region. And 5 environmental organizations, including the Long Island Commercial Fishing Association, have called on the Biden administration to investigate the link between the dead whales and offshore windmills. The administration has publicly denied any correlation between the two thus far. Chris Smith is a New Jersey congressman whose district is a part of the Jersey Shore. And Bonnie Brady on the right there joining us to discuss right here on National Report. She was here last week as well, explaining the story. She is the executive director of the Long Island, New York Commercial Fishing Association. Thank you both for being on. Bonnie, welcome
Thank you, Sean.
back. You got it.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Congressman, can I start with you? I know you've been speaking out about this issue in the past. I know you've called for a moratorium on offshore windmill development. What made you decide to send this letter? Why right now?
Sure. Well, first, Sean, I actually got an amendment passed, and it was a 244 to 189 vote in the House of Representatives to require the GAO to do a comprehensive study on the whales, on what we think will be the evisceration of the ecosystem, the radars, which will be disrupted horribly. We're talking about vessels who will be getting false images because of 3,400 of these as high as the Chrysler building windmills. It's just what a disruption that is to radar. And then there's survivability when it comes to hurricanes. There are studies that say they'll topple if you get a Category 2 or Category 3 hurricane, and we'll have all this junk sitting there. And commercial fishermen, which I know, and as well as the others, the day fisheries and the boats, they're going to be put out of business completely. So we got the amendment passed, and I'm so happy to say Chairman Bruce Westerman, Chairman of the Natural Resources Committee, he led the letter. I'm a signer, Andy Harris, and of course, Jeff Andrew. And the GAO has agreed they're going to do this comprehensive study, and that will look at all of this rush to do all of this without the environmental impacts being
Don't mean to interrupt. I want to give Bonnie time, too.
Sure,
Congressman got the amendment passed to get this study done. Bonnie, you're listening to the congressman there and what is being done. Do you agree with what he was saying there? What does that amendment mean within your field?
Thanks so much for having me. And what Congressman Smith and other congressmen have done is huge because no one is looking at this holistically. Everything the congressman said, and it's great to see you again. I met him when we were in New Jersey. Everything he said is true and more. This is just bad, worse, and worst. And when it comes from an environmental standard, when it comes from an economical standard, when it comes from for people that live on the coast, they just don't know what's happening. And now it's suddenly the rush to build everything quick, I might say before 2024, is at the foremost of this issue, and whales and fishermen and coastal communities and the environment be damned.
It doesn't seem like something that's going to be swept under the rug, at least anytime soon here, Congressman. It seems like you're getting the word out. Obviously, Bonnie is, and other lawmakers like yourself, Congressman. Have you heard anything? Well, go ahead.
Well, Sean, here's really the problem. Both Biden and our Governor Murphy, they're using the coercive power of the state to compel this. Local input is completely not even overlooked. It's just completely dismissed. They have made it so that local communities, when these lines come in, can't say, no, not here. They got a law passed by the Democrats in our legislature, signed by the governor. And here's what's driving a lot of this as well. The so-called misnamed Orwellian named Inflation Control Act says that if construction begins on or before January of 2026, huge 30% tax credits are then given to make this happen. So taxpayers across the country will be footing the bill. And now we've discovered that Ørsted, one of the big companies involved here, it's not an American company, they're asking for $2.8 billion or up to $2.8 billion in taxpayer money to do construction. And construction is going to be a devastation to our environment. And then when they actually are running, the noise below the water, the the surface and of course above, and then all the other issues that
Right.
are attendant to this, like
All right.
I said.
I want to give final thoughts, if I can, Congressman, to Bonnie Brady.
Absolutely.
Yes, everything. I totally agree.
Doesn't
with
happen
Congressman
often,
Smith.
by the way.
No, but when it does, it's amazing.
Doesn't have to.
Environmentally, the issues are, I mean, right now we've seen over 36 whales since December die within the mid-Atlantic, all the way from, I believe, Maine now down to Georgia. We have tried to say, take a pause, take a second, because the incidental harassment authorizations that they're giving are for harassment only, yet has anyone asked the whales, because it seems to be more than harassment when they're showing up on our shores. We know the sounds affect them in low frequency. We also know our federal government has no real data by which to measure how they hear. That's Southall 2019. They use it in all their documents. But yet, if that's the case, if they're trying to save the whales, why is the exclusion zone for the right whale 500 meters away, but for humpbacks 100 meters? Who's been washing up on the shores? Humpbacks and minkies, both with a shorter exclusion zone. Yet no one wants to look at the evidence in front of our eyes. We're being told, ignore what you see, just listen to us.
Well, we can see the passion.
That's not
Obviously, you're taking action as well. We'll continue to follow this for you, as we often have. We've seen this video, really tragic video we've seen here. We're talking about more than 30 whales washed ashore. We're pleased to have Congressman Chris Smith and Bonnie Brady on. Thank you both. We do appreciate your time. Enjoy your weekend.